In this video, I want to talk to you about window screen repair. And I've got a window screen here that certainly needs some repair, as you can see. I'm going to show you a very simple, fast way to make a repair on a simple hole. This isn't going to work if the whole screen's ripped to smithereens. But before I get into details, I just want to show you how window screens usually work and how they're usually repaired. So this is a fiberglass mesh. You can get aluminum mesh too, but fiberglass is much more common because it's less expensive, but it's also easier to work with. Now, window screens almost always have an aluminum frame like this. And the mesh is held to the frame with what's called a spline, which is this piece of serrated vinyl here. The vinyl fits into this groove and it holds the screen in. Now, if I was doing a full mesh replacement, I would pull this all out, I would yank out the screen, and then I would lay a piece of oversized screen onto the frame, and I would go all around the perimeter and push the spline back in. There'd be excess mesh sticking beyond the spline, and I'd take a knife and I would slice that clean. But there is an easier approach. It involves the use of thread, not just any thread, but I like to use what's called a buttonhole thread. Button thread. It's not a lot bigger in diameter than regular thread, but it's a lot stronger. So we're basically going to just use this needle to weave back and forth and kind of reestablish the mesh here. It's not going to be an invisible repair, but it's an easy repair to do, and if it's just a small hole and you want to keep the mosquitoes out, this is the way to go. So let's get busy fixing this problem. And all we need is a spool of thread and a needle. And then I dug out this little sewing scissors from my sewing kit. Our first job here is to kind of clean up the frazzled bits. We don't want those getting in our way, so it's nothing too serious, but just trimming off the loose ends, making it a little neater. Now, if this had been aluminum screen, I'd still be able to cut it. Aluminum's pretty soft, and the cross-section here is pretty thin. So if you've never threaded a needle before, it's not a big deal. It's kind of eyesight dependent. Make it flat, get all the frazzled fibers out of the way, and just kind of take your best shot. There you go. Now we want lots of thread. We don't want to have to start again with this. We want to make sure we have enough thread, and we got to make a decision about where to start. So I'm going to start on this end, and we're going to kind of work from this side to that side. And the way I like to start is by just beginning with what I call the anchor point for the thread. So what we want is we want this thread to be secured here, so we're not going to pull it through. But we also want something else too. We want the tail of the thread to remain nice and long. And the reason for that is so that we can have something to tie the other end to when we're finished. Don't cut this off. You want that to stick around. You also want to have enough thread pulled through the needle that we're not going to lose it. It's not going to come out again. So at this stage, I'm just going to start going back and forth in one direction and then in another direction to kind of create that, that cross-hatched kind of effect. Let's get going with the actual weaving. There you go. An easy way to keep the bugs out.